The next organization is on page 11, Unidos South OC. You'll see their ministry report and then their response form on page 13. We met John and Heather at church, and they had just come back from living overseas, and were back in the U.S. and just felt a connection with them. And I've watched Unidos over the last number of years grow and define their vision and impact. We actually live in San Juan Capistrano, which is where they work, and so we care deeply about the community that they're investing in. And I'm just thrilled to have them here to share and have them come and tell their story and invite you in with a local opportunity right before us. But John and Heather, thanks for being here this morning.
Oh, you use that one? Sure. I'm gonna use this. I'm John Chapman. I talk really loud. I'm John Chapman. This is my wife, Heather. We met in a church in Orange County. Our family started to attend the church the same month, the same year, in 1985. She was 5, I was 10, and the first date was a little awkward. Come on. Oh, it didn't work as well. Okay, so jury's out on if that joke really worked that well. Okay, so we feel incredibly lucky to live in Orange County. We actually feel even more lucky to live in San Juan Capistrano. So, raise your hand when I say San Juan Capistrano. Come on, we live in Orange County. What do you think of? What do you think of San Juan Capistrano? The Mission, yes. Yes, the Mission. Heritage Barbecue. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Thank you. Anything else? The Swallows. The what? Ramos House, yes. On the oldest inhabited street in Orange County, in California, is Los Rios Street there, in case you didn't know. And Swallows Day Parade is the largest non-motorized parade, I think, in the U.S., at least east or west of the Mississippi. Anyway, but notice what you didn't say. Sorry. Oh, also the home of Russ Klein, which none of you said. Okay. What you didn't mention was the neighborhood that we work in, because countless times I hate to say it, I have sat down with people and they say, you do what, where? There's not an under-resourced neighborhood in South Orange County. They're all up in North Orange County. Our churches go to North Orange County to do outreach in the under-resourced neighborhoods there. So Heather's gonna help you understand about the South Orange County under-resourced neighborhood.
So this is Orange County. It's color-coded by census tracts that are experiencing the most severe social problems. And if you look at the bottom of the map, you see a little triangle. That census tract is our census tract. And if you see the colors, it's actually, when we think about challenged communities in Orange County, we usually think about Anaheim and Santa Ana, but our community is experiencing the exact same social conditions. It's just a much smaller community. So, is San Juan Capistrano all of those things that you guys think about when you think of San Juan? Yeah, it is. It's an amazing community, and it's also home to a community that is suffering. Our community earns lower wages because most of my neighbors work in the service industry. They work in construction, landscaping, hotels, restaurants, cleaning services, all the services that many of us enjoy. But low wages means more hours at work. So most households in our neighborhood have at least 2 full-time incomes contributing to the family. Like my friend Gloria, who raised her kids in San Juan, and she works at Macy's. Her husband works at an elder care facility from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and then also at Disneyland from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. He's been doing this 6 days a week for the last 30 years. And busy or not, it's hard to take care of your health if you don't have any health insurance. And that can be pretty devastating for people like my friend Norma, who needs a double lung transplant, but instead she has to survive on oxygen tanks that she pays for with cash, and she's unable to work. So what do you do if you're working all the time, barely sleeping, barely taking care of your health, and then your rent costs more than half of your income? You double up, you triple up in 1,000 square foot condos. And so that means that a lot of people will just have to put up with substandard housing because there's nowhere else to go. Like my friends Pablo and Diana, who rented a bedroom with their 2 little daughters inside of one of these 1,000 square foot condos. And every 2 months, they just painted over the mold that was creeping up the side of the wall until finally they were able to find a new place to live. And the crazy thing is, this triangle that you're seeing in the data, it actually contains a whole bunch of really affluent neighborhoods as well, which means that all of those social conditions that are contributing to those data points are coming from one concentrated neighborhood inside of the census tract. It's called the Capistrano Villas. It's also known by its street name, La Zanja. So in these 799 units, approximately 5,000 marginalized neighbors live. And the thing is, despite all of these challenges, these neighbors are some of the most inspiring people I've ever met. Long before Unidos was founded, they were supporting each other to confront these obstacles. They were creating small initiatives that got no limelight, but God was working there. God was working through them to display his love in this community.
And after serving in Lima, Peru for 8 years with a mission organization, which mentioned Peru again today, the last group as well, we moved back with our 4 kids to South Orange County, back home to South Orange County. And we immediately knew that loving our neighbor felt different. And so we tried to figure out how, well, it was obvious that God was calling us to look in our community and no longer abroad. And we wanted to know, how are we supposed to love these neighbors, and what can we do to love these neighbors? So in 2017, Unidos South OC was founded to strengthen under-resourced neighborhoods here in San Juan. So we have 3 strategies. We're going to do a couple of these items. Our first one is direct services. So this is the work that we do. Direct services are both meet the needs of the community, but also change happens in relationship. And when we build relationships, we build trust. And so we do direct services like we have a weekly homework club. We have weekly ballet classes. We have weekly youth group. We have summer camps. We have summer day camps. We have coding camp. We have farming club, we have horseback riding, we have surfing lessons, we have chess, and then the list goes on. The direct services are nimble and simple so that we can take advantage of opportunities and partnerships that we have with others. We don't have horses, we don't have a farm. We partner with other people in San Juan. Then we move on to, because of these relationships and more relationships, they want to build the social fabric in which they've already created and strengthen that. So we do that through community events that they've actually asked us to do for them. So Dia del Nino is a huge event. We have 1,000 people come. It's kind of like a resource fair / festival. We do parent panels where the school district, the principals are actually sending their teachers to us so that they can hear from the parents to build that bridge. We have mutual aid. Our residents are amazing. In the first 2 months of the pandemic, they made and distributed over 5,000 servings of soup to their immediate neighbors who were out of work. And then we have a Christmas store where hundreds of our neighbors come and get to buy presents for their own children at 50% of the price that you would buy in a regular store. And finally, we do learning workshops on Monday night where we bring in other organizations to present incredible things, like Farmers and Merchants and Bank just did like a 6-week series on financial management. So then the social fabric grows. So then what do? You've got more people who want to get involved, and you have more relationships. So then what we do is they do a resident-led initiative. And this is our big thing that's going on right now at Unidos. So this group of people gathered 100 interviews from their own neighbors to understand the challenges that they were having in their own neighborhood. Then at this forum, they made the decision that housing stability is the #1 issue facing all of their neighbors. At this was the day that this was the 5th visit of this particular group of neighbors visiting city council, where a policy change was made because they used their voices to make that happen. And here, this is a survey team that is working with Mission Hospital and a bunch of other collaborative organizations working on a strategy to address the housing instability in this particular neighborhood. So, I could keep talking about examples because this is what we do, but video, and we're gonna run out of time. So, meet my friend Steven, Mr. Unidos.
What's your favorite food? And you'd be like,
My favorite food is hamburgers.
yeah, is what?
Hamburgers. They helped me do my homework when I didn't get it, and my mom didn't either. And there was no one to help me. And then I could just go to the garages across my house, and they would help me right there with my homework.
It's been said, if the doors are open of a program, he is there.
Stephen was one of our first students at Homework Club.
He's literally done everything we have ever done. If Stephen wasn't there, we knew something was wrong. He is Mr. Unidos.
Stephen coming to that Homework Club was that family's introduction to all of the work of Unidos. Like, even little Jocelyn, she was not old enough for Homework Club at the time, but she came anyway.
Yes.
Because we would just set her down with some, like, practicing her letters. She was 3, I think. And then I remember their little brother, Eric, was a baby at that time, and now he's in Homework Club himself. And even the older son, Angel, remember Angel was at the very first summer camp we did when we did the musical theater,
Right.
the kids musical theater.
Yo me involucré con Unidos llevando a mis hijos a las tareas desde muy pequeños, porque hay cosas que yo no entiendo. Yo no fui a la escuela aquí y para mí era un poquito más difícil. Ya fui participando con ellos en lo que las mamás podían hacer, apoyar a los niños a las tareas. Cuando había un evento, nosotros ayudábamos, me fui involucrando poco a poco. Fue algo muy bonito.
So one of the field trips that I went with Unidos is in summer when I went to the beach and played around with my friends. And another one was when I went to a pizza shop to make my own pizza with Unidos. So the pizza shop was by like a movie theaters in San Juan.
Estaba muy penoso de entrar. Me acuerdo que estaba en la puerta y se quedaba en la puerta y decía, no, yo me quedo aquí. Y le decía, no, pero pasa, ¿por qué no quieres pasar? No, yo me quedo aquí. Estaba muy, pero muy penoso de pasar. Y me recuerdo que ya cuando poco a poco él comenzó a entrar, porque se quedaba en la puerta todo el tiempo que el programa estaba, ya él empecé a ver ese cambio. Steven es un joven que tiene mucha influencia en su vida, que puede influenciar a los demás en buena forma, que lo buscan o quieren estar alrededor de él, quieren estar platicando con él.
Pues mis hijos están ahí con Unidos. Es algo emocionante, algo bonito, porque ellos ya forman parte de la familia. La Marixa, Ashley, ya para todo, cualquier cosa. Si no hacen la tarea, le voy a decir a Marixa, cualquier cosa le voy a decir a Ashley. O sea que ellos están emocionados con Unidos. Y gracias a Dios, mis 3 hijos que van ahí van muy bien.
And I think the story of Mr. Unidos, Stephen, kind of illustrates like our strategy for meeting the need of this community moves from direct services, like all of the programs and clubs that Stephen and his siblings have been a part of, that moves in, and in his case, it did move into community building. His mom became involved with like hikes that we would do and parties that we would try to build more community. The way that Karina has gotten involved with Unidos, you know, it started with Homework Club, but it expanded into like all of these different areas of her life, like parenting classes and coming to workshop. And she was one of our first members of the resident committee and would give her input on the next steps for what we were going to be doing.
So much of our
serving.
founding stories and like why we do what we do and listening to the residents, so many of the times Karina is the voice that has shared into that.
So to see that in this one family, we can kind of see how these direct services lead to community building, which then leads to residents who are empowered and working together for long-term change.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. It's a blessing. I'm Victor Coda. I'm a member of the board of directors. Here to just talk briefly a little bit. I'll quickly introduce myself. My story. My grandparents, my maternal grandparents, were farm workers in the San Juan Capistrano area. They were Mexican immigrant farm workers a couple generations back. So when I got introduced to the Chapmans, I saw yesterday. I saw the work today, and I also saw the work tomorrow, right? And I think about a kid like Steven. It's hard sometimes, but it's true to be a proof point myself, to be like, I watch what can happen when people like the Chapmans, organizations like Unidos, are doing the work, doing God's work. And so I'm up here as a member of the board to talk a little bit about not so much the what, but the how. Four dimensions for Unidos. One, we're neighborhood-based, right? So our unit of change is the neighborhood itself, and that's really unique. I was a nonprofit director in the past. And it was education, and other groups do housing, and on. For Unidos, it's the neighborhood itself, which is unique, and I think that's powerful. We're faith-fueled, another dimension. John chapter 15, verse 12. My command is this: love one another as I have loved you. Faith is our fuel. God is love. And if God is love, we need to reflect that love in the world. That's what Unidos' work is day in, day out. Resident-led. The work is about empowering those who are already powerful. So it is led by the residents to ensure that the work is coming from them. And then being data-driven. We talked a little bit about that earlier, ensuring that we have both qualitative and quantitative data to always understand what the need is and then meet that need at its source, right? And so that's really important to us. So you can see, a number of different ways that Unidos does this work. It's a blessing to get to work with the Chapmans and to be a guest with you all today. Thank you for inviting us and me into this space. Back to John. Okay.
Thanks, Victor. We rushed him through that. These are my actual neighbors, and they're actually your neighbors. We all live right here, most of us in Orange County. And the reality is that most of them love God. They're our brothers and sisters. So they're not only our physical neighbors, but they're also, many of them are brothers and sisters in Christ, and they're suffering right here in our backyard. But they're amazing, they're resilient, and they're inviting us to join them, to imagine and discover God's vision for a flourishing community. So you're page 13. You can open to it. There's 3 ways that you can respond. We have like a texting system, so if you scan that code or the one on the screen, you can text the word pray to that number, and you'll get a text every week, and we would love you to pray for us. Prayer is amazing. We have volunteer visits. I got 15 seconds. I just want to let you all know. He's going to stand up. We have volunteer and visit opportunities. We're right down the freeway. Some of us were actually north of where you live. I met people from San Clemente. And finally, we have over $400,000 committed to our housing stability research project for the next 2 years. And if you have any idea anything about that, I will connect you with our smart board members who know stuff about that, because I don't. But it is an amazing opportunity to actually build a plan and a strategy and then implement that in the future. So God's loving our neighborhood. We want to invite you to come and be part of our neighborhood.
That's good. You did good. Let me pray for John and Heather. Father, thank you for Unidos. Thank you for the vision and the difference that's being made in this community, the model that's being built. Thank you for the difference that they're making today in this community. And just that idea, they are our neighbors. They're people that seek you, and there's opportunities for us to come and be you in this community. Pray for them that they be encouraged today. Thank you for their hearts, for the desire to serve and lead and impact and bring change. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, John and Heather. Please take a moment, page 13, and fill that out.